so crazy. And I had to fly home because obviously everything got canceled. So we had to fly home in Seattle. I mean, there was like 20 people on the flight to Toronto. It was insane. But that's the day the record came out, and it did incredible. It was like #1 on the Roots and Blues chart for 20 weeks.
Wow.
Then it came off. Then it went back to #1, and then it went to top 10.
Wow.
That's insane.
Congrats.
I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
That's amazing.
Totally insane. So yeah, I mean, it was super great. Right now, I'm going to do another one in the series, another blues record.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be 8 songs because it just sounds better on vinyl. And what the hell? Who cares? Who buys records anyway?
Right. Sure.
So yeah, it's going to be 4 originals and 4 covers this time because there's some insane cover stuff. You know what I mean? Like I love and I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm writing this book now because these Van Halen stories were such a huge hit, you know, and I got so many requests from people saying, you got to write a book, you got to write a book, you got to write a book. I want to hear about all the other people, you know, and I thought, I'm on the back 9 of life here. Therefore, I might as well write the goddamn book.
Right. Why
but
not?
It's going to be the whole structure of the book. It's not going to be like chapters, right? You don't have to sit down and read it from one end to the other. It's going to be exactly like these Van Halen stories are written. So you could pick the book up and read a whole self-contained story about an experience that I had with so-and-so or so-and-so and so-and-so or whatever on one page, put the book back down, and not look at it again for another 3 months until I feel like reading I got to take a crap. I'm going to go read this book.
Right.
Have you read David Lee Roth's Crazy from the Heat autobiography? Because it is structured very similarly to what you are describing.
Are you serious?
He's a very stream of consciousness kind of guy. And when you read the book, like it's chock full of good stuff, but it's not necessarily in chronologic order. And you're kind of like, okay, well, what's he going to talk about next? And that's what the experience of reading his book is like.
Wow.
Yeah, if you haven't read it, I would recommend you read it, especially if you're going to structure your own book that way. It's fascinating reading into the mind of David Lee Roth.
Absolutely.
You know what? Maybe I will. I don't really read autobiographies of people in general because they're usually not great. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a broad and stupid statement, but the thing is I just don't. That's not the kind of books I read. I like sci-fi, to be honest with you. And basically
no, that's awesome. But if you're thinking of structuring your book that way, you should definitely read his autobiography.
You know what? I will check that out. It's just I've run into so many people that people know in my life, and I've worked with a lot of them, and for some reason people like the point of view that I bring into it. You know what I mean? So I thought, what the hell, I'll just do it. Somebody wants to buy that book, go for it. Throw it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Wait, what was your conversation with Dave like when you spoke to him?
Lee Roth?
Yeah.
David Lee Roth. Oh, God, that was are you ready for this? That was in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
That was in the 80s. I was in my 20s. We were on a rooftop in Manhattan. It was one of those bars in the 80s that, they were clubs, and they had 3 floors and the rooftop. And
right.
Every floor was a different dance, some shit like that. Again, if you want to talk about a foggy memory, that's so long ago. Oh, yeah. I just remember going, holy Well, it was one of those, and so I just went and stood next to him, and he was holding court.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Bourbon and wine. Oh, does he really? See,
yeah.
I don't even know this.
Oh yeah.
You guys know way more than I. I'm
only. He is on all the time.
He's a raconteur.
It's only 3 people.
I was going to say that sounds like that was my experience, even though again it was 10 minutes or 15 minutes on a rooftop in Manhattan. And he was standing with a semicircle of people around him. Wow. And he had a drink in one hand, he had a cigarette in the other. And he was his sardonic, humorous, wry, sarcastic self, funny as fuck. And all I could think of is, this is, you know who? This is David Lee Roth. And
right.
he looked like this massive rock god, even though he's not a very tall person. but none of them are actually.
Right.
I don't think I've ever. The only person that I can think of that's really tall that I met was the bass player from Yes. He was a
Chris Squire.
tall guy.
Chris
Oh,
Squire.
Chris Squire.
Thank you, Chris Squire.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Squire.
What about Sebastian Bach? You ever meet Sebastian Bach?
No.
Well, I tell you, you and him should do a duet. He's got the male version of your voice. The two of you would make some pair. He's got crazy pipes like you, wild pipes.
I know who you're talking about. I definitely know who you're talking about. I'm more interested in, like, Paul Rogers.
I gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's my kind of guy right there. And he's a fan of me.
That's great.
Whoa! How about that for rock video music fans? Live all day, all night. You know what you need. Only right here on Dave TV.
Check us out on Facebook at Dave and Dave Unchained, a Van Halen podcast, on Twitter at DD Unchained, on Instagram at DD Unchained Podcast, and you can email us at ddunchainedpodcast@gmail.com.
David.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. What's going on? Everything good?
Yep, living the dream.
Okay, all right. We will do
We are reading edited mail tonight, correct?
Well, I thought we had a new policy where we are just going to
That was a one
freeball.
you misinterpret. That was a one-time exception only.
Oh, I see. I do declare, sir.
Well, declare some more!
Exactly. Oh, my God. Hello, Sass?
Speaking.
Hey.
Hoping I can talk to somebody called Dave. You got anyone called Dave over there?
How are you? I'm gonna add on my partner here. Hold on one sec, okay?
All right.
Hang on, I'm gonna add him on. Hold on. Dave, you there?
I am.
Okay, Sass is on the line.
Hello, Sass.
Dave!
You got two Daves.
Yes, very easy
I
to
got
remember.
Dave and Dave.
That's right.
Listen, I was in a band once with 2 Dave. Actually, 3 Daves, because the sound guy was called Dave, too.
Wow.
Insane.
That's right. As we
So
like
I'm
to.
used to the Dave.
That's right. All Dave, all night.
we try and make it easy for you, Sass.
That's right.
Rightly so, because you know.
You can't have Van Halen without Eddie Van Halen. You can't have Van Halen without Eddie Van Halen. You can't have Van Halen without Eddie Van Halen. You can't have Van Halen without Eddie Van Halen. You can't have Van Halen without Eddie Van Halen.